At around 1 p.m. Pacific, Iran launched another 40 missiles against Israel. Israelis were told to shelter in place. We have reports that the British Royal Air Force and the United States Air Force were potentially also involved to intercept the missiles. There is a rumor that the White House is talking about what happens today in Tehran is unavoidable, something to that effect. There are also rumors about potentially the United States Delta Force squadrons being used to try to take over nuclear facilities like the Fordham Bunker facility for uranium enrichment in Iran. None of those last items there that I disclaimed with rumor confirmed, but what we can say is at least 40 missiles were launched from Iran at around 1 p.m. Pacific time here Saturday on June 14th. We've got the Israeli military also saying that while they are working on intercepting these missiles from Iran, they are also attacking Iranian oil depots. In fact, there's fresh video out just moments ago of an Iranian oil depot on fire. The 40 missiles apparently targeted the port city of Haifa in northern Israel. It's possible that both residential and energy infrastructure or military infrastructure were hit inside of Israel. Firefighters are now reportedly responding to this attack, and individuals are being told that they are eligible to leave their shelter at this time, as it looks like no further missiles are being launched.
One source telling Fox News that they were able to trick senior IRGC leadership from the country's Air Force into a meeting. They did an array of movements that they knew would force these officials into a meeting room, and then they kept them there, at which point the Israelis struck that meeting position. And this led to what we can now report is 30 deaths among senior leadership in the IRGC, specifically in the Air Force and Air Defense array. And so there's a real combination here of intelligence on the ground, along with Air Force capabilities that it's allowing the Israelis to strike with precision, but also to send a message to the Iranian regime that they have the ability to target really anyone they want inside of Iran.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. The Israeli intelligence, which is really probably just funded by the U.S. government, in part, or at least aided by the U.S. CIA, really good. Like scary good. I mean, the pager attack was insane. This idea that they potentially, forced 30 IRG members into a room to bomb them. Here's some smoke allegedly coming from Tehran as the strikes that Israel says they are taking in Iran took place roughly at the same time as this hit on Haifa. Keep in mind, residential building hit as well. Let's get a quick listen in here to see if they add any particular context. In the meantime, the British Royal Air Force also reiterating their goal for supporting Israel and de-escalating.
There's some initial information following that large-scale Iranian ballistic missile attack that focused on the northern port city of Haifa. According to the local fire department, there are preliminary reports of a few impact locations with some injuries and the possibility of people who are stuck amid rubble. Again, these are preliminary reports coming.
Right, so that's an initial reading there from Fox. Here is just an example of what some of these missiles approaching looked like.
Civilians, they no longer need to stay in bomb shelters. This fifth wave of attacks does appear to be over, at least at the moment.
Yep.
But as the state...
Here's another angle of what it looked like when the port city of Haifa was hit. I'm going to pull this up on screen here in just a moment, but it shows you just how overwhelmingly targeted these rockets are. And they're doing this on purpose because when you try to launch so many, the goal is to overwhelm the interceptor systems, because it's very difficult to intercept this many rockets at a coordinated moment, all falling right towards your port city. Now, you'll see explosions in the air over here, and you'll see some of these interceptions, but you could absolutely see some ground impacts as well as some of those missiles sneak by. Quite unfortunate.
They are considered a proxy of the Iranian regime. They are funded and receive some military...
This is probably Fox talking about the Houthi attack. The Israeli government has talked about attempting to take out a senior Houthi commander, potentially the leader of the Houthis. This started as a rumor, but the Israelis later confirmed their attempt to attack a senior Houthi leader. Again, this, as Fox was just getting ready to say, is one of the sort of proxy fighter groups fighting the Israelis. There is also talk right now about Israel conducting multiple airstrikes now in Yemen at the same time as attacking Tehran and defending the attack against Israel. Israeli radio is reporting, Army radio rather, reporting that the objective of the mission is to assassinate a Houthi militia official. It reports that the results of the mission are being addressed. So, in other words, the attack has occurred, and it's unclear now if they managed to kill the Houthi target.
Ballistic missile attacks. Every source that we've talked to has emphasized this point since this conflict erupted between Israel and Iran directly. And they've said that previously, when you think about before October 7th, the big fear in Israel was that if there was ever a direct war between Israel and Iran, that Iran would use its proxies in the region, like the Houthis in Yemen or Iran-backed Hezbollah in...
Right, but remember, Hezbollah has already backed out of being interested in supporting Iran here. They've already walked.
Strike both Yemen, Lebanon, and Gaza, and severely weaken these proxies. And it reduced the threat that previously included thousands of precision-guided missiles by 90%, according to some analysts in the region. And so it really changes the reality of the situation for the Israelis as they try to fight back against Iran.
And as
John.
Here's a new rendering from the IDF, the Israeli military, on what they just attacked in Iran. This appears to be a nuclear facility in the western portion of Iran. They showcase fighter jets leaving Israel. And I'm going to pause for a moment as we zoom in. The zoom in happens pretty quickly here. But it's so fascinating to me to think of where in these sort of bunker regions right here around these roads, you're able to hide these bunkers. So between these mountains. And you can see through at least the Israeli overlays how infrastructure is built into these mountainsides. Take a look at this. Okay. And the one we zoom into is actually over here, where we've got 3 entrance tunnels. And this, but also, you know, how they potentially deliver and hide their weapons. Now that's quite interesting. I'm not exactly sure how their rendering shows the launching of these weapons. Oh, this is the hitting of this, is what they're trying to show. No, these look like launches. Yeah, look at that. Israel's trying to suggest these can launch from these batteries right here underground. That would almost imply that there's some form of a movable lid above the ground for these munitions to shoot through. Now, that's their rendering. They've also released footage showing strikes against these facilities. Strike on underground missile storage and launch site. That's a short clip that we have, 7 seconds here from the IDF. And then you also have this footage where Israel says, you know, this is what they showed in the rendering, except this is basically annotated footage that comes from the state of Iran. So basically Iran filmed the footage, but Iran puts text over saying, hey, by the way, we killed both these guys. Okay. Yeah, actually very similar to what they showed in the renderings, how they sort of align these launching vehicles, how they store the rockets and ballistic missiles. Yeah, that's also quite interesting. These look like you can sort of raise and lower the missiles on the backs of these trucks right here. These look like these missiles can be raised and lowered. So when you drive out, yeah, there you can see that platform almost looks like it's got some kind of raise or lower. These almost look like some form of oil fields or some form of energy infrastructure here that has been struck, which has been a goal for Israel in response to some of the escalation against civilian targets in Israel. Here's another angle of some of these flames in Tehran. So now not just gas facility being targeted, but also oil facilities. One of the gas facilities that was targeted this morning was one that's responsible for about 65 to 75% of all of the domestic production of natural gas for Iran. Take a look at another one here. This is the potential impact of an Iranian ballistic missile in Israel here.
What? Yeah. Hello. When, where? Allah. Schwab.
Okay. That was apparently in a city east of Haifa. Multiple injuries being reported. And then you do have a little bit more footage as well here.
حضاري كله. ولو. ضل راحت على كلها. يا هون كله وقع يا طلع. طلع. حضاري كله. ولو. ضل راحت على كلها. يا هون كله وقع يا طلع. طلع.
All right. Need to replay that one twice there. And then let's see what else we have. Medics are responding to a possible impact in the city of Tamra. Let's see. Okay. 13 minutes ago, Trey posted about the 5th wave of attacks. We saw that. We saw his report here on Fox. Here's an image of potentially a building hit in Haifa. And then it looks like we also have the IDF now reporting, following the situational assessment, the Homefront Command published that is now permitted to leave protected spaces. Meanwhile, Iran appears to have continued attacks that they are dealing with. Here's another closer video. Wow. Fireball doesn't look very good. It does almost look like oil infrastructure here. Goodness gracious. So this gives you a quick update here on yet another wave of attacks against both, frankly, Tehran, so the capital of Iran, and then as well as what we just saw in Israel. In addition, House Republicans are now on a call about security for all members of Congress after the incident in Minnesota. Yikes. Oh, how interesting. By the way, today is the 8th anniversary of the baseball shooting that nearly killed Steve Scalise. My goodness, just a violent day. Very sad.
Why not advertise these things that you told us here? I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.